The Church of St. Martin in the Bull Ring in Birmingham, 5, England is a parish church of the Church of England. It is the original parish church of Birmingham and stands between the Bull Ring shopping centre and the markets. The church is a Grade II * listed building. The current rector is the Revd Canon Stewart W. Jones. History. Original church. The present Victorian church was built on the site of a 13th-century predecessor, which was documented in 1263. The church was enlarged in medieval times and the resulting structure consisted of a lofty nave and chancel, north and south aisles and a northwest tower with spire. In 1547, although no record is kept to indicate when the first clock appears in Birmingham, during this year the King's Commissioners report that the Guild of the Holy Cross are responsible for keeping the clock and the chime at a cost of 4 shillings and 4 pence a year at St. Martin's Church. The next recorded mention of a clock is in 1613. The earliest known clockmakers in the town arrived in 1667 from London. In 1690, the church wardens dressed the church in brick. All was cased in brick with the exception of the spire. John Cheshire rebuilt 40 feet of the spire in 1781, which was strengthened by an iron spindle running up its centre for a length of 105 feet. It was secured to the side walls at every 10 feet by braces. In 1801, several meters from the top of the spire were replaced after they were found to have decayed. The tops of the 4 pinnacles surrounding the main spire were also rebuilt. By 1808, the spire had been struck by lightning 3 times. In 1853, the brick casing was removed from the tower by Philip Charles Hardwick, who added the open-air pulpit. The church also contained an organ, the reedwork of which had been done by John Snetzler. However, the pipes were found to be ineffective due to the proximity to the church roof and walls. In 1875, John Thackeray Bunce published a book, History of Old St. Martin's, Birmingham, illustrated with paintings by Alan Edward Everett. Current church. In 1873, the church was demolished and rebuilt by architect J. A. Chatwin, preserving the earlier tower and spire. During the demolition, medieval wall paintings and decorations were discovered in the chancel, including one showing the Charity of St. Martin dividing his cloak with a beggar. 2 painted beams were also found behind the plaster ceiling. The exterior is built of rock-faced Grimsillstone. The interior is of sandstone with an open timber roof, which shows the influence of the great hammer beam roof of Westminster Hall. The beams are decorated with fine tracery and end in large carvings of angels. The roof weighs 93 tons, spans 22 feet over the 100 feet long nave and is 60 feet high. The Victorian floor tiles are by Minton and display the quartered arms of the Birmingham family. Dimensions from east to west. The length of the church is 155 feet, including the chancel, the arch of which rises to 60 feet. The width, including nave and north and south aisles, is 67 feet. At the transepts the width is 104 feet. Windows. The south transept has a Burne-Jones window, made by William Morris in 1875. This window was taken down for safekeeping the day before a World War II bomb dropped beside the church on 10 April 1941, destroying all remaining windows. The west window is a 1954 copy of the Henry Hardman 1875 window destroyed in the Blitz. Recent developments. As part of the Bull Ring development in 2003, the church was cleaned and repaired. St. Martin in the Bull Ring is open to visitors, Monday to Saturday from 10 o'clock to 16:30, Sunday from 9 o'clock to 1900. Gallery. parish. The parish of St. Martin's was extensive, covering a large portion of modern Birmingham. As new churches were constructed, parts of the parish were reassigned as follows. List of clergy. Bells. There were 4 bells in 1552, together with a clock and chime. 6 bells were put up in 1682. It is known that in 1745, when John Wesley preached in the Bull Ring, the bells were rung in an attempt to drown his voice. In July 1758, the 8 bells were replaced by a new peal of 10 tenor-weight 35 long CWT, cast by the Whitechapel Bell Foundry. These were subsequently augmented to 12 in 1772. The first broadcast of church bells change ringing was of St. Martin's. This was broadcast before a Sunday evening service in May 1924. The bells were recast in 1928 and an additional semitone bell was added in 1953. The frame in which the bells were rehung dated from 1869, and trouble with the frame led to a scheme of total renovation in 1991. A new peal of 16 bells hung for ringing was installed, being the first time more than 12 bells had been installed as a change ringing instrument. 16 is an unusual number. 5, 6, 8, 10 or at the most 12 would be typical. In 2008, only 3 rings of 16 exist in the world. Organ. The Guild of the Holy Cross at St. Martin's Church provided for an organist before the Reformation. The church was presumably without an organ from the English Civil War, as the church warden's accounts read. We the minister, church wardens and inhabitants within the parish of St. Martin's, Birmingham, being desirous to put up an organ in the said parish church, have at a vestry called for this purpose unanimously agreed to raise the sum of 300 L and upwards for completing the same, and for ourselves, and in behalf of the rest of the parishioners, have hereunto set our hands this 17th day of May anno Dom 1725. An organ was duly erected by 1725, and the case was by Thomas Swarbrick. This organ was removed or replaced in 1822. The case was then transferred to St. Alphage's Church, Solihull, by Rev. Charles Curtis, who was rector of St. Martin's and rector of St. Alphage, Solihull. In 1822 a new organ was installed by Thomas Elliot. This was rebuilt by John Banfield and Amp, son, in 1875, and renovated and enlarged to 3 manuals and 40 stops by Banfield in 1883. In 1906 this was sold to St. John's Church, Derrit End. The current pipe organ is by Harrison and Amp Harrison and dates from 1906. Originally it was a 3-manual instrument on the north side of the chancel, but in 1955 it was rebuilt as a 4-manual organ and moved to the north transept by John Compton. The opening recital was given by George Thalburn Ball on the 30th of March 1955. The specification of the organ can be found at the National Pipe Organ Register. Since around 2004, St. Martin's has abandoned the use of the organ for the Sunday 11 a.m. service. It is still played at the Sunday 9:30 a.m. Holy Communion and for 6 p.m. choral services. Organists: Barnabas Gunn 1740–1753, John Ohio Eversman 1753–1765, Richard Hobbs, Joseph Harris 1771–1802, William Bodle Taylor, James Stimson 1852–1857, Walter Brooks 1857–1900, Williamson John Reynolds 1900–1920, Richard Wassell 1920–1942, Henry William Stubbington 1942–1947, Norman Blake 1947–1949, Geoffrey Fletcher Arco 1949–1982, David Griffiths 1982 to 1985. Richard Wardell 1986 to 1997. Peter Churchill